I don't think the headphones are working.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Okay, great. Perfect. And we'll go back to screen share.
Is it Zoom?
Yeah.
Try down over there.
You're bearing with us.
Yes.
And then select speak.
This here.
Try that.
Great.
So how about you all introduce yourselves?
Maybe.
Start with.
I mean, it's not working because you can still hear it through here, right?
Sorry about that. I'm looking at the participant's name.
My microphone, speakers, headphones.
You just switched it.
Someone can just jump in.
Yes.
Sorry. It's all right.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pfeiffer. I work at Mars Hill, and I'm the faculty fellow here at Mars Hill.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Hey, Amy. Amy, can you put your computer, the microphone
On mute.
on mute? Ah, perfect. Okay. All right. Whoever wants to go next, introduce themselves. Just briefly.
Hi, I'm Julie Platt. I work at Brown in the Swear Center and the college, the undergraduate college.
Thanks, Julie, for joining.
Thanks.
I'm Christine Hart. I am the Associate Director of our Center for Community and Civic Engagement at Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas.
Great. Thanks, Christine. Thanks for joining.
Hi, I'm Natalie Bickus. I'm the Director of Civic Engagement and Student Leadership at Lindsey Wilson College.
Hi, Natalie. Thanks.
Hey, this is Amy. I called in because it didn't seem like you could hear me, but then you said to mute me, so I'm not sure.
Yes, we couldn't hear you at that time, but now this is good. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
Hi, this is Sarah Scott. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me.
We can.
Okay, great. Hi. I was having trouble getting Zoom downloaded, so I had to try an alternate browser, but I guess it's good.
Great. And which institution are you from?
I'm from Wagner.
Perfect. Thank you. I think just Brian's
Yes,
left.
and I think Brian, yes,
Does
we can try again, Brian.
No.
No, we can't hear you. But that's Brian from Montclair State. Hi. Okay, thank you all for joining this webinar. And our main purpose is to get together and learn from one another what everyone is doing, what their projects are. So I think this is a great way to start. Hi, Ruth.
Hello. Do you want to introduce yourself really quickly, Ruth? We just did introductions.
Yes, hi everybody. I'm Ruth Castle at Siena College, Associate Director for Academic Community Engagement, and I'm running a couple of faculty learning communities through this project.
Perfect. Thanks, Ruth. All right, so we'll go ahead and just get started. So we have a couple slides just to give some context, some overview on the CEL initiative, and some of the.
Say hi.
Who is on?
Hi,
Oh yeah, I definitely. Or wait, can people see us?
Hold on. I'm going to put it on. I think they
Who
can
is
hear
in
us
it?
for
Will
sure.
anyone know?
Yeah, we can hear you all.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, you can introduce yourself.
I'm sorry. It's Arlette and Samantha Siegel, who's visiting me and hijacked my thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Arlette. We're just getting started here, and we're talking about the goals just for the CEL initiative. So these were the goals that were articulated in the proposal itself. So at one level, to engage faculty in a learning community to develop new or revise CEL courses, also social action components, capstones, and integrated pathways. So that's at one level. And then at the other level of this work, it's really to build institutional infrastructure for campus-wide faculty engagement and curriculum change. So that's kind of the two overarching goals of why we're all here and doing this kind of work.
And we all have been working diligently on strengthening and developing our Bonner program. So that was more at a co-curricular level initially, and then gradually we have tried to integrate curricular as well as co-curricular components and integrate them in a better way. So we started by collaborating with faculty members, developing 1 or 2 courses with civic engagement component. And then we thought that these are random courses, so how about we have a scaffolded experience for students? So we started developing some certificate programs, minors, which is what we call pathways. And right now, many of us are working on that. So that's another layer to get to that institutional change. And then many of us are also working on promotion and tenure policy change, assessment, tracking, so that we can build this infrastructure and bring about change at institutional level.
Yeah, so I'd say, I'll just say one thing here
Sure.
too. So I'll say that I would say probably most of the institutions that we're all working at here have some level of the CEL courses, right? There's still some of that work that we're doing in these initiatives. Like most initiatives are working on new courses, revising courses, so that piece is happening, but we're also now trying to push and move towards that pathways piece, and you'll see in the next couple slides which schools are doing that and which pathways and kind of what that looks like, and then to really then push towards that institutional change. So it's really across those 3 boxes where this initiative is taking place. So this is just a little bit the next level of kind of what that looks like. So the mechanisms that we're using to do that. So you can see here it's how it's going across these 3 levels. So faculty learning community. So that's that community, not just on your campus, the community that you're creating there with your faculty, your community partners, students, administrators, whoever is kind of involved in that process, but also this national community that we're creating, right? So this kind of webinar, the national meetings where we'll have representatives come and join. So building that community, and then also pathways like certificates, minor programs. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next couple slides. And that's falling under the pathways piece. And then you have promotion and tenure, assessment and tracking, and that's moving us along into the institutional change. And then student involvement, students as colleagues, and then like funding and resources, which is the grant piece of it. Yeah, these are just a few examples. In the next couple slides, we'll talk a little bit more about those. And then in this left-hand corner, the graphic there is just showing how it's integrated. So thinking about students, administration, community, faculty, really all of that work, right? The work that we're doing in Bonner, the work that you all are doing, we're looking at it from that integrative perspective.
So based on all the proposals that we received, we have about 25 schools who have joined this community engaged learning initiative, and developing new civic engagement minor or certificate program or social justice certificate program. That's like a major focus. Many schools are working on that. Then another significant area in which we are working is maybe revising an existing program, which is right here. A few schools are working on that: Montclair State, Siena, Wagner, and Washburn. They already have the program, and they are trying to have more scaffolded experiences for students. And then we also have a few schools working on issue-based pathways and skill-based pathways. Skill-based pathways are something that maybe they are not main focus of this CEL proposal for them, but they are still working on that. Siena is one of them. And then we also have 2 schools working on issue-based pathways, UNC Chapel Hill and Washington and Lee.
So part of the idea of showing you all this too, and we have a couple more slides for some of the other projects and categories, is hopefully that then this is helpful for you all to see what each other is working on, because we realize that we know because we've read all the proposals and seen them all, but you all don't necessarily know what each other is working on. So we're glad that you all joined this webinar so you can, we can have conversations in a little bit with each other as well. on this webinar itself, but then also you could see the schools and follow up with some of the schools who are working on similar projects to you, or projects that maybe you want to integrate after hearing more about what other institutions are integrating into their project. Maybe you want to follow up and have that be a part of your project as well. Or it's something you've done in the past and you could provide some insight to an institution who's just now starting to work on something like that. So that's part of the idea of showing you all this information.
Yeah, and that's what we heard during our check-in calls with other schools. And that's what they said, that we would like to see what other schools are doing, if they are working on a similar project, what are some of the things that they are working on, like what are the processes that they are using. So I think this would be useful.
So here's some of the other categories. So another big one is capstones. Lots of programs who are integrating capstones into either courses, seminars. So that's pretty popular. Connecting it with general education revisions and reform. So we have a number of schools who the institution is doing a gen ed reform, and so the leaders of the CEL initiative are trying to connect it with that gen ed reform. So a couple schools who are doing that. Just a couple who are doing the students as colleagues model, and then just a couple doing social action courses and projects. So we'll also say that many, if not all, of the schools in the proposals have multiple components to them. So they're working on a lot of different aspects of these things. So we just pulled out for these purposes what we felt was like the main project that the institution or that the proposal is targeted towards, but a lot of them had multiple of these components to it. Yeah.
And then some of us are also working on institutional change. So two main categories. One is revising existing promotion and tenure policies to integrate community engaged scholarship in that. And the second one is assessment and tracking. So many schools are working on that right now.
Yeah, it's pretty popular too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna ask you all to share a little bit about some of the highlights from and really up till this point. So last semester, this semester, regarding your CEL work. So I mean, it could be just something fun and positive, like an anecdote you have from the fall meeting, or from a meeting, a workshop, or a session that you all have run, or just in general, a takeaway that you've seen so far about how this work is moving forward. So we just want to hear from you all, or if you have questions for each other, or questions for us.
Yeah, and just based on these categories here, here are some questions that Ari sent you for the progress report. So this is just to guide our conversation. So feel free to share any highlights or ask questions.
This is Sarah from Wagner. There are two things that immediately stand out to me that have been great outcomes for our project so far. One of them is that we have a number of new collaborative projects that are emerging between faculty and community partners. That has been a reflection of the work that we've been doing so far in the workshops. One of the initial workshops we did was on community partnerships. And so some of these faculty are not necessarily, one is very new to Wagner, one has been at Wagner for a while, but it's good to see new projects coming out as a result of the work. And then another thing that has happened is that a couple of faculty who are in our faculty cohort, or in our faculty fellows program, have expressed a really a very good response to learning about some of the community engagement initiatives we have on campus and off campus that they didn't know about before. So we're already doing, I think, a really great job in getting more visibility and more information out to our faculty who weren't really aware of the community engagement that's going on yet. So there's a lot of discovery going on part of faculty that I think is a good sign for future communication across larger groups of faculty about the work we're doing.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah, I think we're hearing that. I've been hearing that in some of my calls with the institutions working on CEL, that a lot of positive thing that they've been hearing is that faculty are learning more about honor and learning more about this community engagement work happening on the campus, and that it's been pretty eye-opening. So that's exciting to hear. That's definitely a good thing.
Great.
I mean, this is Ruth at Sienna. Hi, everybody. This is maybe specific to me, but I've always wanted to try out the Milton Cox, Miami, Ohio University kind of style for faculty learning community. And so I'm using this as a chance to build a lot of community within the groups. We have 3 of them going, and it's been really interesting to watch them go from kind of awkward starts to really gelling to figuring out what they want to do, to where it's going to go. It's just been really cool to watch, to really focus on some of the social aspects of it, as well as the learning, and to see over the break, some of them started meeting without me. They would start setting meeting times that I couldn't make. They're like, that's okay, we're just going on. So I've had a lot of fun watching them really gel as a group, because they hadn't met each other. They're across campus. One of them's regional, so they hadn't met each other even within the different campuses, to the point where they really are comfortable with each other and they like learning together, and they've decided something that they want to work on as a group together. I've just enjoyed it a lot.
I think that's great to hear, because we often hear, right, that people are working in silos, departments are working independently, and they don't know what's going on. So this is great to hear that faculty from across departments are coming together.
Do you mind me asking, what are some of the kind of what you see as the main differences between this model of faculty development community cohorts versus other models? Like, what do you see as the difference that's like make you feel different?
I've done workshops, so I've done the really intensive 2 or 3 day workshop, kind of traditional style, and people feel excited about the work, but they never really connected to each other that much. I've done even across the semester series of workshops, and they never get away from seeing me as the source of information, or they never get away from kind of looking at me for stuff. To have that. One of the groups, we have somebody who has a lot of restrictions in her eating, so we can only do sushi. So we are the sushi group, and once a month we are going out for sushi. And it's really amazing just how much that little touch of, getting around the table, really focusing on the social aspects. In fact, last semester we didn't meet. We met minimally every 3 weeks, sometimes a little bit more. This semester they requested more meetings. So we're getting together for writing hours.
The whole calendar out, so that's great.
So yeah, I guess. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, like the social, kind of more the social piece of it. Yeah.
Right. The social piece has been, really important in it, and the social piece is fed right back into the ability, the pieces of their own individual work. We're all trying to get each other across. One of the groups, we're all trying to get each other across the finish line with publishing something in our community engaged work, for example. So that's been fun.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ruth.
I can go next. So Chris from Washburn, and I think first I'll echo what 2 things that have already been said that I think have been really amazing. I always think that people across campus at least have an idea of what the Bonners are and what they do, but then you really sit down with a group of faculty and you make them understand everything from the developmental model and how we incorporate academics, and it's like they've just been opened up to a whole new world. When I was showing them the developmental model, they were like, hey, we should use this with faculty, and I'm like, that's what we're here for. And so I thought that was really amazing. But I think too, what Ruth was saying about them building a community and supporting each other rather than having them even feel like they're out there doing this work alone because they don't really know who else is on campus is doing this kind of work, has been pretty amazing. And the thing that I've enjoyed the most is that we're running 2 faculty groups doing different projects, is that we found that both groups have been so excited about the work that they're doing that they've already started giving themselves more work, which is not something that faculty usually do. I thought that I was going to be having to kind of help push them along. But when they realized, what it means for working with students, what it means for connections to the community, and some of what we're doing is around tenure and promotion. And so people are getting really excited about how this benefits the university themselves, the students, and the community as a connection. And so, yeah, they started giving themselves more work, and I tell them that can't be done all by the end of May. And they're like, oh no, that's fine. We'll keep coming and meeting with each other. And so I think that's been probably the best piece of it for me, is seeing how excited people really are about this work on campus.
Yeah. You mentioned about the developmental model and levels for scholarship, right? So by any chance, did you share that article with faculty members in which they talk about levels of competences and scholarship?
I have not yet.
Okay. They may be, it looks like they may be interested in that, so.
Yeah, I know that Rick shared it with his.
Okay.
My group had trouble finding a common meeting time last semester. This semester, they were on top of it. So we're starting our meetings this upcoming Friday on a regular basis, so.
Wow, you all are getting faculty to want to do more work and more meetings. So you all are doing something very right. That's awesome. Someone else?
This is Natalie at Lindsey Wilson. I am going to echo again what a lot of people have said, which is the most expansive benefits we've seen so far, the positives we've seen have been interactions between faculty from different departments. We have a faculty cohort of 5, and they're all from different departments, which is really exciting because when we have our cohort trainings, they get to share ideas and realize that it doesn't really matter what discipline you're in to do this work. You can still share ideas and resources and connections, and so that's been really great. And it's also built a lot of that awareness across campus. I've also seen really great relationships forming between myself and academic affairs, which is exciting because that's a really hard gap to cross at Lindsey Wilson. So that's been really, really exciting for us. My faculty cohort and I are my faculty fellow and I are in the process of building a rubric or a standard for community engaged learning at Lindsey Wilson that we're going to take to a committee next month and try to get that passed to add it to our curriculum. I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but to be able to create kind of a flag for CEL courses at Lindsey Wilson so that we can start to track those. And then we've also got a group going to the Gulf South Summit, and we're really excited about that too.
Oh, I'll be there too. I'll see you there.
Yay!
That's fantastic. Yeah, you should talk with Chris at Washburn about the rubric.
Yes.
She developed the rubric.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
I think we also have it on Wiki. Chris, we used and upload it on Wiki. You know that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. And I actually, I'm getting ready to send it to Ari. I actually made one that is a little bit more general that might be useful. I don't know if Ari changed any of the wording, but some of the wording was real specific to some of the things we do at Washburn. And so she might have already changed some of it, but I'm going to send that along too. So
Great, excellent.
Are we still on the same question?
We are.
Yeah, or you could pick any of the other categories.
Just sharing highlights.
Yes, share highlights from any of those things.
Well, some of the highlights are, just to add to what Sarah Scott said earlier, it's the fact that this initiative has given the center a more robust venue to reach faculty. Like, they already were doing the work, but the initiative really provided a structure to bring new faculty to the work, to invigorate faculty who were already doing the work, and to really create a deeper understanding of how the work connects to their curriculum, or could connect to their curriculum, and what the Bonner's program really is about, what the values are. Because in general, people did not want to be associated with Bonners if it wasn't because they represent like easy, free, volunteer work from students, right? But now that they understand that there's depth, and that there's a research, that there's theory behind the practice, that there's student developmental models behind it, I feel that they look at us with a different light as a center, so I thank you for that.
Excellent. That's awesome.
Could you maybe, any one of you, talk a little bit about some of the pathways that you are working on? What has been your progress like? Are you facing any challenges?
Or more highlights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know at this is Sarah again from Wagner, and the big lift for us is really happening I'd say over the next couple of weeks, as our faculty fellows are the one group that the fellows are creating an inventory of community engaged courses, projects, and partnerships, so that we can work on defining what civic engagement is in a more diverse way across our campus. And we have, I think we have one Bonner leader who's going to be helping us with that. But the fellows are supposed to be bringing back all of their data that they've gathered at our meeting in February. And at that point, we're going to go through what everybody has collected and talk about how to create a useful repository for all this knowledge. So I'm really excited to see that come to fruition over the next couple of weeks, to see what we can then do with all of this, what I know and am hopeful will be a very robust set of information. So that's something that we're really excited about. And then I know the courses that are being offered as part of the cohort, we just had our first week of classes. So we're going to be working with them more specifically in the coming weeks to discuss how those students in the classes are doing, and how to plan our workshop to prepare students for working with community members. So we're kind of I'd say at the hump of our work right now, and really looking forward to seeing what happens in the next month with all of our work.
That's great. Going back to your point about inventory, could you share maybe a little bit about the process? Did you have students go out and collect it, or did you reach out to different departments and ask them to submit their list of courses? How did you?
Yes. So we have faculty, our faculty that are working in the initiative with us are representing we have 5 of them representing each of the different divisions across campus. And so those individuals are talking with department chairs from each department, and then other faculty across their divisions, to see what kinds of things are going on from the faculty perspective. And once we develop that, I think we're going to have a conversation about how and then the with one of the Bonner leaders, discuss how we might then proceed to get some more information from students.
Great, thanks.
Has anyone done an inventory, been a part of that process, that wants to share a little bit? If not, that's okay.
One of the things I'm interested in having us do as we develop our inventory at Wagner is look a little more closely at what the other what you all the rest of you have done in terms of developing visibility and sharing information across campus, both on maybe an intra-campus network, but also making community work more visible publicly on your websites or through other literature. So if any of you have inventories that you have done or have lists of projects on your websites, I'd be interested to hear about that.
So if in your inventory, do you have all the classes that have been taught?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You have, one of the things that we had done here at Siena, we did it more across all high impact practices because we're a little smaller, is we worked with institutional effectiveness to load the course list, the students, and we looked at retention. And we looked at especially we were more interested in the sophomore year.
Okay.
So if it's under Ashley Prevention, Ruth Castle, but in the Journal of Retention or something like that. But it was interesting to take the courses and do kind of a little bit of a deep dive.
Okay.
And look at what the effects of these courses, if you can find effects of the courses.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I'll take a look for that. Is that on your website?
No, it's in the journal of. It's not on the website, but if you Google, oh geez, what did we call it? I thought I should remember these things. It's something. It's about sophomore retention, and we looked at the effects of selection bias.
Okay.
To see if people are more. There's been a lot of literature to talk about increased retention based on high impact practices or community engaged teaching and learning. And so we wanted to see if that was how overinflated it was based on selection bias.
Okay.
So we did find that there's still significant, in our case, retention, even accounting for selection bias.
Okay. Okay, great.
So it could be a neat study for you to try to replicate if you need, if you want to look at making the case that community engaged classes, for example, lead to higher retention or higher retention in a major, or so it might be if you have enough faculty that like the data, they could look at the study and see if the techniques that we used, which are more typical in K through 12 higher ed research. We did some matching on certain characteristics. So we took students that did no high impact practices at all and matched them as much as possible with someone who did to see if their behaviors were different.
Okay, great. Yeah, that sounds like a great resource. We'll look for that.
Awesome.
This isn't a written document, but we've decided to end our year with a showcase where we invite community partners to campus and then have professors as well as students present work where we can not only showcase our community engagement in the classroom, but our Bonners get recognized. And then the faculty who've been participating in the CEL initiative are also recognized. And we give a service award at the same time.
Is it an annual event or are you trying this for the first time?
It's going to be an annual event, and so this is the first year that we've traditionally had something in April every academic year, but it doesn't coincide well with our partners' calendar year. And so this is trying to make some more synergy and have that happen in December.
That's exciting.
Nice. Look forward to hearing how that goes.
Yeah.
We're also doing an experimental I don't know if we're committed yet to it being annual, but we're doing a first Engaged Scholarship Day in early April at Brown, where we're inviting students from Bonner, from our Engaged Scholars program, from other programs, whether they're affiliated with the Swear Center or not. So students who've done Engaged courses or anything, to propose like a whole variety of types of things: posters, lightning talks, panels, roundtables, facilitated interviews. And the students can also engage faculty or partners, but we're asking all the proposals to come from students. So we'll have a day. We don't yet know, the deadline is until late February, so we don't know yet really what it'll look like, but it'll include at lunchtime some student award presentations and also the poster, like designated time when students would be by their posters. So we'll see how it goes, but it's an effort to increase visibility and also build connections and encourage students to be engaged across different programs.
It looks like a mini version of undergraduate research day, right? So nice.
Although we're trying to encourage the students not to think of it as they have to always have a completed research project to present, but that they can raise provocative questions or, as well.
Yeah,
Great. Fantastic.
We have about 5 minutes left. So do you have any questions for us or from anyone in the group?
I can share a very quick update. Just we didn't get to the students as leaders piece, but if that's helpful, just we're working on many of the other kinds of things that you all have talked about with faculty fellows and learning communities and evaluation and so forth. But the proposal is around creating this new fellowship where undergraduate students will work with faculty and partners on engaged courses. And we've supported a builders group, a program design group essentially that has community partners and undergraduate students working with me and a faculty fellow. And so we've just got approval from the Student Employment Office to make public the paid positions for next year. And so very soon in the next few days or week, we'll be recruiting and aiming in the spring semester still to be partnering so it hasn't yet resulted in the partnerships, but it's had the small scale partnership that we hope will then seed course specific partnerships moving forward.
Nice. How many students are you recruiting for this as CBLR fellows?
We can support 10 each semester. We hope most will do the full year. Just for this pilot year, we hope to grow, but we're looking at 10 each semester.
Great.
We have, I don't know if it's quite the same, but we have had students design and implement community engaged courses with faculty. So we have one this semester. So they designed it last semester and the course is running this semester. It is a challenge because it really depends on whether or not you're able to get a match and whether that student isn't, so you can't ever guarantee how many. I can say that we've never paid any of our students or faculty to do this. So what's been really interesting about working with them is that once you find the right match, they don't need anything else to do it. So it's been kind of neat.
That's great. Yeah, we're giving people the option of applying for that full year plan together and then implement, or just implement and then revise and plan afterwards.
We've never been able to get them to the third stage, right? So they plan, they implement, and then we haven't had any students that want to stick with it and publish it or revise it. But it's really cool. It's really engaging. It's really fun. I'm so glad you're doing it, and I wish we could do more of it over here.
Nice. Excellent. I guess any other last questions or thoughts?
Thank you.
To go through the
Oh yeah, we can say
webinars.
this. Yeah, so we'll just mention here at the end. Here we go. Some of the other topics for these webinars coming up over the next semester. Ari sent this all out in an email a couple weeks ago, but I'm just gonna reiterate what some of those topics are. So higher education landscape and change, assessment, evidence and tracking, community engaged capstones and academic pathways, faculty development and engaged scholarship, students as partners and colleagues, culture, policy and institutional change, telling and publishing your CEL story, sustained partnerships and community impact, and highlights and getting ready for SLI. So we're going to be doing more of these kinds of webinars, and on these topics, we may be tapping some of you all again to be a special feature in some of these topics. So be on the lookout for emails from us about that. But we appreciate everyone getting on and taking time. Hopefully this was nice and informative and helpful, and you can follow up with some of the connections and information that you heard. So I think that's about it.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
For having us. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye. Okay, I am
Close it out. You can go out of share screen.
Oh, did I do that?
No. Go to here. Go to rate. Oh. I think that button. The blue one.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's not
no.
letting me do it.
Stop
I'll
share.
stop share. Here
There
we
it
go.
is.
When you share the screen.
Bye, Brian.